Nintendo made us wait almost 6 years for a crafting update and Nintendo collab items. However, what if these were available from the very start of the game instead? Let's discuss this. Plus, I've also imagined some new collectible items and a whole bartering system where you can trade emeralds to villagers and get new food and stuff. Wait, no. Sorry guys, that's Minecraft we're talking about, but we are going to be introducing bartering to Animal Crossing itself. All this and more on episode 7 of the Nintendidn't, So We Did podcast. Hello everyone, my name is Super Koopa and welcome back to the Nintendidn't, So We Did podcast. Happy Turkey Day everyone, we are so excited to be bringing you episode 7 of this whole series where we're going completely through this mega document that I've created. If you want more information about this mega document that I'm referring to, you can go to the link in the description of this very podcast itself to check it out. Basically what I've done is I've taken a brand new idea for a game and I've condensed it all into one amazing document that I'm continuing to edit and grow throughout time. And as I'm making these videos for you, I got 3 topics we're going to be talking about and then closing off with one mini topic. Number 1 is collectibles, including the whole idea that I've been waiting to share with you guys, the Relics. Number 2, we're also sharing about the new bartering system that I've come up with for Animal Crossing. And then finally, how I would change crafting recipes in this next game. All right, let's jump in together with topic number 1, which is going to be the collectibles today. Let's do it. All right, everybody, we're back to the document. Once again, you may remember this from my past podcast, but what we're looking at today is going to be the collectibles in the small town life of Animal Crossing Small Town Big City, this game that I've created. Resources and collectibles are only available in town. So if you go to the city, you're not going to be collecting any bugs, fish, fossils, none of that stuff. So if you guys have not yet seen the last video that we did a massive video all about the flora update that I would do to update all of Animal Crossing's flora, which means basically bushes, fruits, flowers, trees, all this stuff. So make sure you check out that video. Hours and hours of work into that one. Now, some other new things that you can collect in town when it comes to creatures is dangerous cave creatures. We mentioned this in our update about the, mysterious caves, a brand new thing that I'd like to bring to town. These are going to be creatures such as the scorpions and the tarantulas that are already in the game. These are going to be classified as something brand new, and there's going to be a couple more ones that we're going to add to the game as well. We are also adding the giant sea creatures. Basically what these are mega fish. Some of these you can already catch in Animal Crossing, but we're going to revamp them into a fish that you can only catch if you have a golden rod and if you have a boat. Yes, I say a boat that you can go out onto the vast ocean with. Guys, are you behind on this stuff? We've talked about all this stuff here, so make sure you check out the boats and caves video that I've done here on the podcast. And then fossils, we've also updated as well to include some cave fossils for these mysterious caves and lake fossils, fossils that you can dive down for while you're swimming in the lake. All right, what else are we adding to the game? This is a new one, arts and craft supplies. Now, I thought it would be cool in a similar vein to, like in Animal Crossing New Horizons, how you can grab a bunch of weeds and then if you sell them to the next store, basically like it's going to be one price, but then if you make it into like the leaf umbrella, for example, it's actually going to sell for more bells. So it's more lucrative to actually sell and create something out of this instead of just selling a bunch of weeds to the store. So in a very similar fashion, arts and craft supplies are something that you are going to be able to buy at the Able Sisters, which are going to allow you to create arts and crafts. So for example, maybe origami could be something that could be really cool. Animal Crossing or even Nintendo themed origami that you can create in the game with different crafting recipes that you can get for arts and crafts. So the possibilities are endless with this, and some of these are going to be things that villagers aspire to do or just to collect. So basically you you collect paper or scissors or glue or something like that. And then if you have enough of these supplies, you can craft these new things that are going to be way more worth it for you to sell these things or trade with your friends and villagers for these cool arts and crafts supplies. Okay, moving on to the next one. Now, I would like to make a full video on this. However, the person that I wanted to collab with and do this video, she's kind of been a little MIA. But stamps. Stamps would be an awesome new addition. We've already had letters in the game, but I'd like to revamp the letter system and make relevant letters, sending letters again. That would be awesome. And I think the way that I want to do that is through stamps. Now, without going into too much detail, I would like stamps to kind of work similar to Pokemon cards and how there's different rarities of stamps. And you will be also able to collect these stamps in stamp collecting books as well. So more on that in the future, hopefully. And then we also, the villager dream gifts. If you have not heard about how I would like to fully expand villagers, you need to definitely check out that episode on the podcast. So villager dream gifts basically are these exclusive gifts that you cannot sell at the store nor gift to a friend that you have their friend code or any other villagers, because the game recognizes that these are a very exclusive item that are being given to you by this villager for helping them finish their dream and accomplish their big dream. And so that's a new one that we're adding to the game. And then we're bringing back ores from Animal Crossing New Leaf. There's a new kind that we're bringing in, and it's the diamond ore. Again, there's going to be a lot of Minecraft references in this episode. I'm just warning you. I'm not directly taking these from Minecraft, but Minecraft has given us a lot of good ideas. And so I think we should take some of these into Animal Crossing. I mean, they've already stole crafting from them, so why not a little bit more? So ores that you can collect is the iron ore. This is how you're going to get iron in the game now. It's not going to be by hitting a rock anymore and you get a small little iron nugget. You are actually going to be getting iron ore in the game, and they're going to be a little bit more valuable, but a little bit just as common as they were in New Horizons. We're bringing back the ruby, the emerald, the amethyst, the sapphire, and the silver, and then we're bringing back gold once again, returning from New Horizons. That is going to be a rare ore alongside the diamond ore that we are adding on to it. And then finally, we have this new concept that I'm going to share with you in great detail today, and that is the relics. So let's go back into the document now, and let's check out more information about these relics, shall we? Okay, so relics are a brand new item that work a lot like a gyroid fragment. Now, if you're familiar with how gyroid fragments work in Animal Crossing New Leaf, basically, they are something that washes up on shore, yes, but they are also something that once you bury them in the ground and it rains, these spring to life gyroids. This is basically how you earn them in the game instead of just digging them up whole. So this is just a brand new way to bring gyroids into the game, and I like relics to kind of work very similarly to the way that gyroid fragments work. However, you are going to be digging these up on the ground, and it's going to reveal something brand new for you. So basically, these show up like a star on the ground, just like any old buried item. However, these are a little bit smaller and less noticeable than your typical star on the ground. These work kind of like the tricky pitfall seed in Animal Crossing New Leaf, how it's just a smaller little hole in the ground that you're going to be able to see a little star pattern. And if you're keen enough to spot this hole and dig it up, it will reveal this relic item. So digging up a relic will leave a gold spot on the ground, and in which you can bury bells to make money trees. This is replacing the previous way of just having a random gold spot on the ground. It makes a little bit more sense to have it done this way. I mean, it's kind of been that way since the beginning of Animal Crossing, but I think we'll do a little bit of a change up with how you bury bells for money trees in this game, and that's going to be through the relic. So when you dig up this relic item, basically what this is a broken down, dirty, it looks like garbage essentially at first, but it also is going to look like something that you might have seen before. See, each and every relic item is going to be something special, and each one of them is going to have a specific pun that will give away and hint what this item could be. Guys, this is going to work very similar to how fortune cookies in Animal Crossing New Leaf worked. How when you bought a fortune cookie from the Nook's store, it would give you a little pun and kind of tease. Maybe it would be something Zelda related, like it's dangerous to go alone, take this. Or Mario related, like your princess is in another castle, or something Nintendo related, and it would give away what that Nintendo themed item would be. So that's how this is gonna work. And I kind of just gave it away because it turns out that each and every relic is a callback to Nintendo, but also Animal Crossing's past, and it could also be a very rare artifact from our human history. So this is how you're going to be able to get Nintendo items in this game. This is also how you're going to be able to unlock some past Animal Crossing items and some historical items. So we'll give you some examples in just a minute of what some of those could look like. But how are you going to be able to get these items? Well, it's really cool because we've created a brand new shop based off of restoring these relics, and we're calling the shop Restore. And this is actually the spiritual successor to Retail from Animal Crossing New Leaf. Reese and Cyrus are going to be running this shop, and we've talked about this in a past video about shops and the town square update that we'd like to add to this game. But this is a brand new shop, and at one point it's going to be called Restore, or maybe even Revive is the name that we have for this updated store once you upgrade the stores, and similar how you could in past games for the Nook store. But basically every once in a while they display a relic on their shop, a fully restored one, on their top shelves. And if you give your relic to Cyrus to restore, give it about a day, and then once that day has passed, he will be able to restore this dirty, broken down trash that you found in the ground into a brand new, fully functional item. So here are some examples of some of the items that we could see in the game. So your very first item is going to be the cat paw shard. And when you restore this at Restore, it will turn into the lucky cat statue. Now, if you recall, this has been an item in the game. It's been there for a long time, but it will actually have a function in the game to increase your luck if it's placed anywhere in the town. So luck has also been a big concept in Animal Crossing for a long time. And so this would be a way that I would like to help you increase your luck in the town. So you place it down and you have decreased prices in the shops, or maybe selling something will give you more bells for it. So I think this would be a cool way to incorporate luck back into the game, and that will have that function when you restore it. What about the corrupted hilt? Now, that will be restored into the Master Sword. This is actually a callback to Tears of the Kingdom when the Master Sword is corrupted in that game. So when it's restored by Cyrus, he will actually be able to make this into a decoration that you could put on your wall, maybe over a fireplace or something. So I think that's super cool. We got the Master Sword back in the game again, and maybe if you tap it on the wall, it'll do its signature sound of gaining the Master Sword in Zelda. What is the next one? We got this Tarnished Bell base. Now, this might be a little confusing, but if you've ever played Population Growing on the GameCube or ever seen the game, and if you've had the gumption to be able to pay off your home loan, your entire home loan, up into the highest upgrade that you can get, Tom Nook actually gives you a statue of your villager within the town. So I'd like to bring that back as a villager statue, a golden villager statue item that you can get, and you can place it in your town again, even if you don't pay off your home loan, just by finding this relic underground. All right, the bent wire is our last one we'll talk about, and this is a callback to the Love Tester when restored. This is a Nintendo toy that will actually have more of a functionality. When you interact with this toy, you will be able to actually check the progress of how you've helped your villager with their dreams. And so you'll be able to interact with this item and check on these dreams, and I think it's just a cool way to bring functionality to some of the items in the game. We can, interact with a lot of items in the game, but what about villagers? We'd like villagers to start interacting with these items again, right? And we'll talk about that later on in the video, so make sure you stick around for that. But yeah, I just want to show you a quick conceptualized way that you can dig up these relics once again. I explained it earlier, but I think it would be cooler to show it to you. So let's see it right here on screen. They are a buried item that can be dug up from the ground that can appear once a day. These stars in the ground to dig up appear smaller and less noticeable. So if you are keen enough to spot one and dig it up, it will reveal this relic item and leave a gold spot in the ground in which you can bury bells to make money trees. Each item might look like junk at first, but something about its broken down or dirty design looks like something that I've seen before. So that's not all you can find underground as a relic. If you didn't know this, KK Slider can actually, in Animal Crossing Small Town Big City, learn brand new songs that cannot be accessed in his library. And you can do this through one way. It's through mixtapes. These are something that's going to be available in the big city, so more on that in the future. But just as a spoiler, you can actually write your own music in this game. Pretty cool, right? But another way that you can do this is through relics. So you may actually dig up a mysterious scroll relic that will contain mysterious notes on it. But what will these notes be? Giving this to KK Slider at one of his acoustic events in town, which will be happening on Saturday nights, just as usual, will give you access to a number of songs from a Nintendo game that he will play. So finally, guys, we have Nintendo songs like The Lost Woods from Zelda, the ground themes from Super Mario Brothers, or maybe even something from Kirby or Star Fox or something like that. We finally have Nintendo songs, and that is through Relics this time around. So I think that's a brand new cool concept that we have never brought in before. The final thing that you can find as a relic buried underground is going to be a buried treasure map, and this is going to have significance when you go onto the vast ocean through the boat service on the boat dock. What you'll be able to do is you'll be able to go to these islands, and following this buried treasure map, you'll be able to find some items buried that are very either rare or cost a lot. So you might find 30,000 bells or a bunch of gold ore, or maybe you'll find this exclusive buried item. So it'll be super cool. A lot is involved in these relics. Certain ones you won't have to have restored, like the KK Slider songs or the buried treasure map. However, any of these items that are not one of those will have to be taken to restore to be restored. So I hope this concept is exciting to you. I know it is to me. And then now we're going to move on to our next topic, which is going to be bartering. To know what bartering means before we get started. So we have some important terms to define in just a minute, but let's talk about bartering first. So what this is actually in real life, bartering is a thing. It's basically trading with somebody. And what they do in a lot of Eastern cultures is somebody will walk up to a store and they will have these items that they're selling, and somebody will walk up as a customer and say, "Hey, how much for this?" And they're like, "Oh man, you've been eyeing that item since you walked in. You know what? I think I'd like 30,000 bells for that." And the person who's the customer is like, "Oh my gosh, that's so expensive. I don't know if I can pay that. How about 10,000 bells?" And then the shop owner will be like, "Are you trying to rob me blind? No way, no way. Let's make a compromise here. How about 25,000? And then basically it goes back and forth until you make a deal with something that sounds reasonable both to the store owner but also to the customer, the buyer, right? So basically it's trying to find a way to find a compromise to a price that works for you. And that is bartering, haggling, all this stuff. We'll talk about it, but bartering in Animal Crossing is going to be basically a way of resource trading. And this has been a thing that's been in the game since day one in Animal Crossing. You walk up to a villager, they want to trade you an item, and then you trade with something in your inventory. Pretty simple. But bartering in this game is going to take it a step further, because there's going to be a way to access items without having to use bells. So instead of trading bells with the villager, you're going to be able to trade a bunch of resources options that villagers are going to desire in this game. So there are two ways to initiate a barter. Number one, you can initiate a barter with your villager. So it's something that you talk to your villagers about. "Hey, I want to make a trade with you." And there's going to be a process to do that. And also, the second way to initiate a barter is one that a villager initiates with you. This is the kind of barter that's already in Animal Crossing. When a villager pings you and you walk up to them, you interact with them, and they say, "Hey, like, I have my sea bass. Will you trade me 1,234 bells for that?" And I will tell you this, some villagers will offer you some pretty bad trades. I mean, they want to shyster you for sure in this game. They might be a little bit mean to you when you offer them a bad trade in return, or when you don't want to go through with a trade. So be ready for some crazy new interactions with villagers. So we're taking this one step further from how this works in the game now. And let's talk about these important terms. Number one, bartering. To barter means to trade a resource with a villager that does not require bells to obtain. How about the word price? As we're going to be talking about these things, these are going to come up a lot, so it's important to understand them. The word price in this game, it's the cost it takes to obtain the offered item that you or your villager are trying to barter. This can be a single item or an item of multiple quantities. So this is basically your bell substitute. It's a price of, it can be 30 wood or 1 crafting recipe, for an example. Now, what about the term haggling? This is probably something you're familiar with, but this is a way to negotiate terms with your villager, or your villager with you, to get the item for a fair price through both parties reducing or increasing item quantities. Now, what about the term hold? This is basically a way to temporarily pause a barter request until the appropriate price can be obtained to initiate the barter. So say I don't have enough resources to initiate the trade, but I do still want this trade, I'm going to hold the trade. And finally, to deny. This is pretty self-explanatory. I don't want this trade request. I'm going to cancel it and it won't be available anymore. You can cancel it because it just flat out feels unfair, or you don't want it. Now, villagers who have been denied may react very negatively, like I mentioned, to this denial, and may, and actually will, I'll say, disable their trades for a while. So this is a way to just put a cap on the trading and the bartering system. All right, let's go back to our document today and read this together. This is going to be how you can barter with both your villagers, something that you initiate, but something that your villagers can initiate too. So let's get into it now. All right, how you initiate a barter. This is how it's going to work. Number one, we're going to talk to a villager. You're going to walk up to them, and you're actually going to have an option in the dialog box for trading resources. And a screen is going to pop up where they're going to offer you anything from 1 to 5 random items in their pockets. If you hover over the item, if the price is right, you can barter and it will be good to go. You can choose to haggle the price to reduce that so you do have those resources, or you can hold off on it till you do have those resources in the future. So you have a new way to interact with your villagers. You can talk to them, you can cancel the request, and now you can trade resources with them. So this is something that you can initiate with your villagers anytime. Instead of just giving them an item, you can ask to trade items so that they can get something and you get something in return. So some villagers will only want to trade once a day. Some villagers are not going to want to budge with you though. They're going to be like, this is my offer and it is final, take it or leave it. You know, some of them will get really upset and maybe even lock their trades because you want to compromise on the price. But if it doesn't seem fair to you and they're unwilling to, maybe you don't want to talk to that villager that day anyway. So what you can do is you can hold the item, which will cancel the trade for now and allow you to choose another item. So instead of just being done with the interaction, you could just move on to another item if you don't like that deal. Some villagers may get angry that you're wasting your time with the request at all if you don't have what they're looking for. If you'd agree to their terms, they're going to initiate the trade. You've successfully haggled with them, and now you have what you initiated for, and you successfully initiated a barter with your villager. Now, what about a villager initiating a barter with you? So what's going to happen is they're going to start this interaction by pinging you with a, hey, I want to talk. Like they're going to run up to you, and a villager will just going to approach you and ask you to trade resources back for a specific item with a varying quantity that they pick out for you. So for an example, they're going to say, hey, I have a sea bass. How about trading for 10 oak wood? So your pockets are going to open up and you have the option to offer them a quantity of items to initiate a trade. You can change the item and say, hey, I'd rather offer you regular wood, not oak wood. That's precious wood for me. And you can haggle with them on that. You can also deny the request immediately. I really don't want to do this at all. You can just say no to that. You can hold off if you don't have that item yet, or you don't have the quantity of what they're looking for, or you can do the usual haggle to pay less oak wood than you want to give for that sea bass in return. I know that you so want that sea bass, you're just dying to have it. But if you do choose to barter with them for what they're requesting, you can simply give them what they asked for, and then you will get that item in return. Just a simple trade, just as it's been in Animal Crossing past. So nothing too different and complicated with that. It's just you do have a couple more options of, you know, offering them a different item or a quantity of items in return. All right, what are some general bartering items? What are the things that villagers are going to be looking for and that they're going to ask you for? Well, these items are going to be desired by a villager in a barter, except for items that cannot be traded or sold, like, as I mentioned, a drawer or one of those exclusive villager dream items. We've got a large list of items to choose from, and just to mention, there are also one-to-one barter. So basically, this is how a normal trade would work. I'm going to trade you something with something of equal value. So for an example, a crafting recipe. Hey, I want a new crafting recipe today, a villager will tell you. Can I trade you this crafting recipe of a simple bench for my crafting recipe of a pumpkin stack, for an example? And so you guys can actually have a way of trading items for an equal and fair trade. So some of these resources that we're looking at today are natural resources like wood, stone, clay, etc. These are going to be stackable to 99 in the game. Now ores are going to be stackable to 10, and they want to trade those. Bugs and fish to 1 to 3 can be not necessarily stacked, but if you have multiple in your inventory, they're going to want them in a trade. Hey, can I have 3 Darner dragonflies, or can I have 3 sea bass? Now, I mentioned crafting, baking, and cooking recipes are a one-to-one trade, as well as food or drink items and clothing items. They will only want a one-to-one trade for those. Fruit can be stacked to 10. It can actually be stacked to a lot more in your inventory, but they will only ask for 10 at a time. Same with crops and sheared or regular flowers. And then craftable furniture and craftable items, they may ask for up to 3 of those, but typical amount will be 1 item that they'll be dying for that you'll have to help them out with. Now, I'm just going to show you this here. We have a full dialogue chain of how this can work. So if you're really curious on how this would work in the game, and my explaining to you didn't really help, I mean, it is quite complicated, but if you're looking for a dialogue chain of how when you approach your villager, or you want to initiate them, or they approach you, how that can work. So just check that out, give it a good scroll through if you want to access the document, but you can always pause it right now to look and see how that would work itself. Anyway, okay, let's transition to the next part of our conversation today. This is going to be one of the final parts. As I mentioned, there's 3. We talked about collectibles, we've talked about bartering, and now let's talk about the last part of our video, which is going to be the crafting system revamp. Now, guys, we've received bulk crafting in Animal Crossing, finally. But I'd like to make a couple different changes and I want this also to be available from the start of this new game. Guys, it didn't make any sense that this was not available, but Nintendo did the work. Apparently, there was a lot going on within the internal systems that allowed them not to stack certain items or craft certain items in bulk. And so they've actually gone in and changed how that works. So they've done a lot of heavy work underneath everything. So now that we have this 3.0 update, it's going to be very easy to make these things and these processes available from the very beginning of the next Animal Crossing game. So I'm very hopeful that bulk crafting, if crafting is a big part of the next Animal Crossing game, which I believe that it will be available from the very start instead of 6 years later. What the heck, Nintendo? This is crazy. So anyway, this is the changes that I would like to make to crafting to the game. A lot of items that were not previously stackable will be stacked to 99. Items you can craft will have a heavier focus on functionality for small town life, and as I alluded to earlier that I would talk about later, which is now, I would like villagers to be able to interact with items a lot more. Like, say a villager walks past a dumbbell and they end up picking up the dumbbell and start interacting with it, or they walk up to a water bottle item and they start drinking the water bottle. So I think that'd be cool to have more interactability when it comes to villagers walking around the town in this next game. But similar to how public works projects works in Animal Crossing New Leaf, a lot of these crafting recipes will be focused on things for your town, like benches, landmarks, windmills, signposts, or even some recipes that villagers will give you to help fulfill their dreams. For an example, a football/soccer net for a sporty aspiration, or maybe even a display case for that superfan aspiration villager in your town. So crafting recipes will now only be accessible in a new way, and that is going to be through shooting down balloons with your slingshot. So this is a brand new way that you're going to receive crafting recipes exclusively, except for your villagers. Every once in a while they might give you one depending on their aspiration. However, this is going to be the main way to do it. This was available in New Horizons as one way to do it, but this is actually going to be the major way that you get crafting supplies, and rather crafting recipes in this game. Now, here is why we're doing it this way. Here's why we're making this change. So I would like each crafting category to correspond with a color, and these colors will also coordinate with the balloon color that will be floating in the sky. So I know a lot of people in New Horizons was saying, hey, if you shoot down the yellow balloon, it's going to get you coins or bells. And if you shoot down the red ones, it's going to be crafting recipes more increased. Well, we've actually changed that. So it's actually going to correspond with a specific recipe from a specific series of crafting recipes in the game. So I'm going to walk you through this list together. Here's just some examples. I'll not read all of them. You can read them along with me, but we have the red category of red balloons is going to correspond to the category of basic items. These are going to be some of your just basic things you need for around town, maybe a simple bench, a fence, and tools as well. Let's skip down to, I have different seasonal series, so for different seasons of the year. So I have autumn and springtime as, you know, orange and pink respectively. But then we also have some other series, like the brown balloons will be the wood series. So you're going to have a brand new all wood type series, and there's going to be a lot of wood types in this game, more than has ever been in the game before. And then we also have a series for the ores. We have an aquatic series, that's going to be the aqua colored balloons. And then skipping down to the end, we have black, which is going to be the nighttime series. This is going to be things that enhance your game and the night, so maybe like a telescope item or some glowing items, that'd be cool. And then gold balloons will be golden tool recipe. So this will be how you get that golden fishing rod to catch those giant sea creatures, or how you get eventually the golden slingshot, and how you can shoot 3 bullets at a time. And then finally, guys, we got a secret. We got something very special in this game that has not been available in a long time, and that is Gulliver's U.F.O. is making a return to Animal Crossing once again. Guys, I'm just going to be straight with you. Back in City Folk, I was terrified of Gulliver's U.F.O. I had played Animal Crossing Wild World in the past, and I had a lot of joy shooting down with my slingshot Gulliver's U.F.O. But in this game, it took it a step further. This was a huge shadow on the ground. It made a sound, and the first time that I encountered this UFO, I was totally spooked, guys. Like, I didn't know what was happening. I didn't know it was in the game, because online resources were not a thing back then. So the first time it popped up, I freaked out. I had a heart attack as a little kid. I was a scaredy cat. I really even didn't like games like Luigi's Mansion because it was kind of scary for me. So I've improved. I've embraced Luigi's Mansion and started watching other, you know, I'm not into horror genre, but anyways, none of this is important. I just like to talk, right? That's what we're doing. It's a podcast, right? So no offense there, but I like to bring Gulliver's UFO back, and you'll be able to shoot him down in a very similar way. However, I'd like to make the objects that he gives you as a return for repairing his UFO in this game to be space-themed items. And these space-themed items, I would like to correspond to things like the star fragments that were available when you wished upon a star in New Horizons. I'd like Gulliver to be the one that gives you these star fragments, as well as other things like moon rocks and other space-related items. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but I will tell you that based off of one of my other videos, I have leaked this information. you will be able to go on a once-in-a-lifetime trip in his UFO to somewhere. If you want to find that, you'll have to do a little searching in my past videos. So Gulliver's UFO, guys, we're bringing it back. Now, speaking of tools, this is how I'd like to close with just a quick run through of some of the new tools that I would like to bring to this game. The typical shovel, fishing pole, bug net, axe, slingshot, watering can, the timer, and we're getting the megaphone in 3.0, and then New Horizons added the ladder and the vaulting pole as all default items to the game. However, I like to add 3 or 4 new items to the game, and I'll just share a couple with you today. The first item that we talked about extensively, very extensively in the last video, is the shears item. Now, the shears is basically, in a nutshell, going to be how you can shear flower stems. Instead of picking up flower stems by default, you're going to actually be able to pick up whole flower, flowers, just like you could in all the games up until New Horizons. I didn't like that change, so we're reverting back, and it's going to be through the shears. Shears are also how you're going to be able to shear individual fruits off of trees, so you can have trees with 2 fruits on them aesthetically for your builds. And you can also shear bushes as well. So that's how you get fruit and flowers off of bushes now. And then finally, in a major turn of events, shears is going to be how you make the hybrid fruits in the game. So shears is going to be very important to this new game. I'd also like to add a pickaxe. Again, Minecraft reference, big time. But it's in a lot of other games like Stardew Valley too, so it's not explicitly Minecraft. But if we're going to be adding mysterious caves and stalactites or stalagmites, then we're going to need something that's heavy duty, not just a random axe that's supposed to be meant for trees. We need to add a pickaxe to the game. This is how you're going to be able to mainly mine those ores that we talked about earlier in the video as a collectible, and this will increase your chance from getting those ores, because you can't, it's these rocks and these stalactites and mites, they're not going to be able to be broken by anything else but a pickaxe. So I think it's going to be important if you want those anyway. And then finally, a brand new item. Now, this is important because I recognize that some of you, when you think of the term big city, it's going to change Animal Crossing altogether. And you don't want that change. You want that small town Animal Crossing experience that you've been used to in past games. And so I totally understand that, and I see you, and I know there would be people who would play this conceptualized game with not wanting to go to the city at all. That's fine. You don't have to. It's just a lot of stuff is going to be accessible through that, but we're also making other ways in the small town to do this. So for example, this new item that I would add to the game is the fossil brush. Now, I have taken this somewhat as an inspiration from Animal Crossing population growing. You had to send your fossils away in letters because the museum really wasn't a thing in that original game of Dobutsu no Mori. And so later on, they added the museum as a thing in the North American version. But I think that it'd be really cool that in this game, instead of going to the big city, which, spoiler alert, the museum will only be available in the big city in this game, you can actually assess your fossils right from your town by a fossil brush. So if you are lucky enough to get this item, I don't know how you will obtain it, but however you obtain this item, you'll be able to assess your own fossils instead and be able to sell them to the Nook shop for profit, or trade them to, your villagers if you want to. So it's just another way that we are accommodating for those who don't want to go to the big city to be able to still access all the important things. It wouldn't make sense to have fossils but no way to assess them without Wi-Fi or going to the big city with the way that you do. So that's how we've made allowance for that to happen. And that's gonna do it for this video, guys. I hope that you found this episode very interesting when it comes to some brand new things, when it comes to villagers interacting with you, with bartering and with items in the town, and how all these collectibles can work, and these relics that you can restore these Nintendo items. We covered a lot of ground today. So you guys have a great Turkey Day, and I hope that you are blessed. I give all glory and credit to God for allowing me to have this creative ability, and I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your day wherever you are. And I just want to say, take care. This has been the Nintendidn't, So We Did podcast. If you're interested in learning more about Animal Crossing Small Town Big City, check out this podcast here on YouTube, on Spotify, or on Apple Podcasts for more.